You know security is hard, so let's assume we're probably gonna get pwned by noon. But if we all start to get the basics right, we might not fully get pwned until tonight. Okie doke. Good afternoon. Hold on a second. I haven't done this in a while, and all the audio things are doing their own thing. Okay, I think there's no echo. If there is echo, let me know in the chat. Okay, and also maybe let's see. Can you see/hear me? If just one person could confirm. It's like I don't mean to be the annoying guy who's like on the Zoom meeting. That's like, hello, does my webcam work? But ever since, I don't know, maybe it was like a year ago or so, I got on here with the DFSec. Hey, I got on here and had a voice modulator to make me sound like Beelzebub. And that went on for a long time. And then people were in the chat going like, well, that sounds weird. Maybe he's got a head cold or something. So anyway, but here we are. Good to be with you. So we do these things every third Thursday of the month. I was doing every Thursday for a while and it was just too much. So now we do third Thursdays. And let's see, I got my screen shared. I say this on every podcast episode, but you can always go to 7minsec.com/live. Thank you, DF, for saying that everything's fine. And here's where you can get kind of what we're doing and what we have done. Okay, with YouTube links. So if you miss one, go catch the replay. But I'm excited today because doing something a little bit different. I mean, normally on these webinars, we're doing heavy like pen testing stuff, blue teaming stuff. We're setting up tools. We're setting up attacks. I wanted to do an episode about more of a documentation based need that came out of a client request that we had over the last month. And as is usual the case for the podcast, it's kind of like whatever's hot on my mind, I quick want to barf it up and sort of teach what little I know about it to you to get your wheels going so that maybe you go, hey, this is something I could use for maybe an internal project or maybe an external project. And I always try to do it when I'm in the thick of like what I can remember about it, because then, and this is not like a brag or a flex, but I often go back to my own webinars about things because that's when my mind was really up to date on everything that I wanted to talk about. But this client had a kind of a specific need that I think Docusaurus, which is from the Facebook Meta folks, they build and maintain that. So this documentation project from my client had a few like basic but sort of specific requirements. So they have a small team of like IT and security people. They had a bunch of stuff already written in Markdown, like individual documents that they were all kind of like sharing out on a Dropbox or something like that, and just viewing in like some text editor. So it was like, oh, what's that command again to reset a user's password, or what's in our software, how do we force reset this service? Oh yeah, it's here. And so they were kind of like maintaining everything in Markdown and then like syncing it over Dropbox. But that was getting a little bit unruly. And so we looked at things like, okay, if this just needs to be internal, maybe you could use. I mean, I've got a lot of clients who just use a SharePoint site. They use a locally installed right on the LAN WordPress instance. There's like a bajillion things you could do for this. But I started looking at GitHub and the options there. And there's a bunch of which I am just a little bit familiar with, but Jekyll and GitHub Pages was something that we kind of looked through, because with something like that, the kind of nice thing is if it's if all this content plops back into a GitHub repo, you could use, issues, and you could, people could submit, new content. Because what they ultimately decided is they're going to kind of funnel all changes just through one writer, because one of them is a very good writer. The rest don't really like to write, and they'd rather just have this person do it. So, getting it in the Git infrastructure could be, use issues or pull requests or whatever fabulous things those folks are doing. I know enough about GitHub to know that I often don't know what I'm doing, and that's okay sometimes. So I was playing in my own lab with the Jekyll stuff, and that's when some link in some article I was reading popped me off to Docusaurus, and kind of reading reviews of that. And the big things people were bragging about is like, hey, if you need an internally hosted, mini website or knowledge base, you can have this up and going in like no time. So I'm going to show you real quick. We're going to build one. I don't know that this one is going to be publicly accessible to you when it's up, but you can try it. I think I've configured the firewalls extra paranoially so that you can't, but what I've got here is kind of a split screen. I'm going to be right at my little Linux box here that just has Ubuntu with nothing special on it. I'm going to just kind of go through the like 3 install commands. Then we're going to edit some content and style it up and show you how in, not too long you could get this basic knowledge-based bare bones deal together. So docusaurus.io is the main page to learn all about it. In the installation link is what I'm going to follow. Really the only, and I'm kind of zoomed out here just so I could do split screen without it looking awful. One thing you will need is to have pre-installed npm, which I've already done just in the interest of time. But that would just look like this, sudo apt install npm yes. And it should just say we've already got it, so we can move on. Okay, cool. And then as you can see, I am in a tmux session. That's another one of those things, and I feel embarrassed. Like I was using screen sessions forever to kind of like SSH into something and then keep like NTLM relayx going and then do a different screen session to see other stuff. And I did that for years. And some of you for years were like, dude, just use tmux. It's way easier. It's way better. So now I've like just maybe in the last 6 months really gotten into it. So I'm like that guy at the party that's way out of touch. That's like, hey, you guys should check out this tmux. I think it's going places. But that's what I've done here to make it easier, because once we install this Docusaurus instance and run it, it needs to stay up and running. So then in tmux, we can do a control B and then C and create a new window here for like, editing the MD files. Okay. So I'm going to go back to 0 here and let's get this installed. So we can do npx create Docusaurus, and that should be right here, just following along with what they tell me to do at latest. The my dash website, that's just really just a folder name. Whatever you name my website, will create a folder with all the content in it. So I am just going to make one called test, and I'll assign it the classic. I don't know if, preset classic includes standard documentation, a blog, custom pages, and some CSS framework. Super. That will do just fine for our purposes. And there was 2 choices there. One was for JavaScript, one was for TypeScript. I just chose, you can also use TypeScript. I can't tell you why somebody would want to use that, but if you know what that is, you probably know whether or not you would want it, and you would choose that. But I just took the default for all options. And so keep in mind, this is just going to install the structure into the test subfolder, but it doesn't actually run the instance. And what I found out through taking, let's see, I think right in the instructions, it'll probably say somewhere. Oh, here we go. Yeah, here. To run a development server, you do npm run start. But the problem there is it'll run on localhost port 3000, and then it's not accessible from other places on the LAN, if that makes sense. So you would have to like open up the GUI for that, for this Ubuntu box I'm on, open up like Chrome and browse locally. But I don't want to do that. I want to be over here on my Windows box, and I want to browse to this content while I'm developing it to see how it looks. So I'm going to just slightly modify that command, which I found by asking ChatGPT actually. And I'm going to do npm run start tac host. And then we're setting it to zeros. So it will listen beyond just the local connections from itself. And I'm going to do, I think I had set up port forwarding for 1, 2, 3, 4. Excuse me. We'll see in a moment if you can get to this, but also please don't hack me, bro. See if that works. Oh, okay. And then we get a big ugly error saying, hey, that's not good. What do you think you're doing? Here's a big log file. I learned from experience. The problem was I didn't run that command from the test folder that was created as part of the install. So now that I'm in it to win it or to run it, we should be good to go. Okay, so we're on localhost 1234. I'm going to let this finish because it's not quite ready to actually serve content. But if you want to see if you can hit it, you're welcome to. Just, please don't hack it. It'll be at write.7minsec colon 1234. But I think the default rules are only going to allow me to get in there. But yeah, somebody, yeah, if you are in there, that's fine. You really won't be able to change anything, but excuse me. But just like that, we've got our demo site set up and we're served on port 1234. Pretty slick. So out of the box, this is the classic layout. You've got yourself a little tutorial tree over here with some, markdown files. And this is really nice. If you go through this intro, oh, my goodness, what's happening? Okay, that's weird. My YouTube just started over. That didn't broadcast live, did it? Okay, no, I think we're still live. Hopefully, I guess I still see live people. Okay, we'll keep going. If you get this stood up, this will be pretty fantastic to walk through and show you how to edit some pages and change some content. I'm gonna just show you. So I'm gonna leave this window running. I'm gonna hop over to my tmux on window 1, and we're gonna go into the test folder and just take a look at the structure. So it's a pretty basic hierarchy where everything in your docs subdirectory is going to represent in some way or form this docs tree. And then you've got a blog folder. If we go hit that, if we go into blog, this has all your blog content. I'll come back to that. I just want to show you, for example, if you just take the existing structure that's in place, let's go under tutorial basics. Okay. And we can see just in the URL, we're in the tutorial basics folder. So presumably if I go to docs and I do list things out, we've got a tutorial basics subfolder. And if I do an ls, it's just markdown files for each of these pages, which is great. So I could do, for example, nano, let's do test.md and test hello w or hello. And if we just save that out, this gets updated live without, we probably couldn't even see the refresh because it happened so fast. Just go test and there's my content. And so it's all the markdown stuff. So if you wanted to go, fact quiz, you could go, how did we get here? I don't know. What else don't you know? Everything. Okay. And if I just write that live, then boom, browser refreshes in the background. We get the nice, header hierarchy here. And, yeah, all the markdown contents. Here's some cool code, but don't copy and paste this. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, whoops, there we go. Copy, 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 pasty, pasty, pasty. Pretty sweet. Now, let's just say this, this obviously tutorial basics, that's not going to have my real content, but let's just say that this tree was full of the documents I'm actually using, and I go, you know what? I need a subfolder here on explaining how to do tangents in a podcast. Well, then you can just make a new directory, tangents. Let's go into tangents and go, how to make a tangent. Making a tangent. Okay, then you just go step 1, stay on topic for a bit. Step 2, totally derail yourself with unrelated content. Step 3, optional, get back on track. Okay, save that out. And then if we go scrolly, new subfolder called tangents with our new doc called making a tangent. And there you go. Oh, and I'm not very good with Markdown. What do you got to do? 2 spaces or something in between each thing to make it line break? Something like that. Oh, look at that. Huh. If there's any senior developer positions open, I should probably apply. Look at that. Okay. Pretty neat. Pretty nifty. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And while we're here, let's take a quick look at this blog structure that comes baked into things. So I'm going to escape this. I'm going to back out. It's a little bit misleading to me because Docs is kind of the master folder that all content lives under, but at least with this default install, the blog is one level up outside of that. So we actually have to go back here. It's right off the main drag or the main folder. So there's blog, and there's all these entries. So if you wanted to use this blog feature, you just need to create a document that's time stamped similarly, and it will auto sort and treat that like a bare bones blog. So we could just do nano. What are we today? We're 7/18. Hello world. This post should pop to the top. Important stuff here and here. Okay, we save it out. Ding, and there we go. Even do the estimated 1-minute read thing and all that good stuff. Some of these posts on here, you'll see that they have built in like this welcome message. I like this. They have got the nice author profile with their name and their title and their picture and that kind of stuff. That is all in the right in the blog folder. There's authors and there's tags. So if we just do nano authors and just follow this format, I'm just going to make a new one quick. So we'll call this Brian, and then it's colon, and then it's name Brian J. And so it's name, title, URL. Okay. Title, master of tangents. URL is just my homepage, I think. Okay. So https 7minsec.com. I'm just going to steal this other person's image for now because I don't have a link handy. What is it? Image URL. Image URL. Just stretch this out a sec. I can't remember what that guy's path was, and I'm bad with copy and paste. GitHub slorber.png. Okay. All right. So we'll do that. And now if I look at one of these posts, you'll kind of see, let's look at one of the older ones. You can kind of see how you can assign a post. Various information. So at the very top of a post, you've got like the 3 dashes, and then you could assign like a static slug. You could give it an alternate title. set your authors, set your tags. So I'm gonna copy that, and then I'll go to my 2024 post, and okay, except slug will change to something else like tangents are great. Title is going to be my alternate title, and we'll see if this works. We'll just change all that. See how that goes. My alternate title, and there we go. Brian J., Master of Tangents, wrote this on July 28th. Blah 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 blah. Here's all your important stuff. Now I lucked out and like so in the background constantly, one thing that's happening is like checking of all the links and the structure of your MD files and all that kind of stuff. And what can happen if I format something incorrectly, like for example, I'm going to do, let's say for tags, actually, let me see let me just look here. What are some of the other tags that are valid? I could create a new one too, but tags for hello and Docusaurus. Okay, so let's say that I did something like this where I didn't know the tag format properly. Okay, and I save that. The nothing like errored out, but notice I don't have that second tag, and it's because I made a content boo-boo. So one thing that's really helpful, if I go back to the main window where Docusaurus is running, is like every time you make a change, if there's something wrong with it, you'll get a barf of text that is usually pretty helpful in figuring out what went wrong. So in this case, actually, we've got a couple. Yeah, we've got a couple warnings. It's very clear in the blog post we just made. I screwed up the tag format, and I think also, okay, tags doesn't look like a valid front matter. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, I thought also, did it say? I thought maybe it let me know one of the tags wasn't valid, but I'm going to flip back over here to editing the files. Let me change it to how it's supposed to be, which I think is this. Whoops. I think is this. Let's try that. Completed successfully. Let's see. Did that do it? Refresh. Oh, yeah. There we go. Okay. Hello and Docusaurus. And if we go back to here, or back to, yeah, where it's running. Now we're getting compiled successfully. So that's a nice thing to do if you're just like me, where you love doing the split screen thing. Like I've got one monitor that runs this terminal, one that runs the content, and then just to see it update live, and you can quick sanity check it. That's pretty nice. But if suddenly it looks like your updates are broken, that's what I would find very helpful. Just go over to the window where you're running the server, and it's probably got red errors for you. Also, it might have when I've broken things terribly, there will be a full screen error vomit here that will point you towards paths that have things wrong with them. Like it might point you to an MD file and say, this has got some wonky symbol in it or something, and I don't understand. Okay, last couple things that I wanted to show you is, going back to, using this for a client project, I don't want, when I land here, I want to change this page to be something else. And also I kind of want to get rid of this sidebar. I want to make my own sidebars, like, whatever they're going to do, command shell or pen testing, or, however you want to categorize it. I want to start building some of our own sidebars. So a couple important files that can help make all that happen are right in the main, in our case, the folder is test. Right inside that folder, there's this docusaurus.config.js. That's like a great one to just check for any of the primary settings that you want to make. So in fact, here's what I would really recommend. Do something like that, right? Little copy this to a backup file. So if you really munge it up, you can get back to a healthy state real quick. But yeah, here's where you set, the site name. So, if I just go tangents, central LOL LLC, that should get updated. Yeah, there we go. Dinosaurs are cool until they're not, right? Oh, yeah, I know. I got to escape that somehow. Not going to do that. Okay. And then here's where this is kind of a future, like a thing that we're looking at right now, is that you can, in the background, you can then publish this, a static version of this to GitHub pages or to other places. So that's where you would fill in some of this, like your prod domain URL, the GitHub repo where you want to actually publish it. That's on my to-do list. So I'm going to kind of skip over that. But where you get in control of these main menu items up here are down, let's see, sidebar.js. Let me go a little bit further. I don't think it's there, but it's, okay, we've got the nav bar with my, okay, yeah, my site nav bar. I think this is where you change the nav bar name. There we go. Change the logo to whatever you want. Oh, let me just leave that window open. If you go to, is that static? Yeah, static image. Whoops, you got to spell it right. Upload things to static subfolder, image subfolder. That's where you can set up your own icon for the site. Let me go back here. And then here we go. So this is the one that kind of took me a little bit to figure out, is we're looking at the items in this sidebar. So we've got one called tutorial sidebar. We positioned it on the left. Its name is tutorial. So if I go name, change, that should get reflected up there. Okay. And then next to it is a link to the blog. So this took me a while to figure out. And admittedly, I don't like to read manuals. I like to get in, frustrate myself for hours, then look at the manual and find the easy answer. It's just kind of like a little special thing that I like to do. So what I found out, because I was like, well, where is it pointing to the tutorial content? Well, I'm going to go back up to a new, or pop over to my alternate window here. And in right in the main folder of your Docusaurus is a file called sidebars.js. And I would recommend, just like we did before, let's go ahead and back that up. And now if we look at sidebars.js, we can see that the tutorial sidebar is, this is where it's called, and the dir name that it's building a hierarchy of content for is dot, or is basically the root of that docs subfolder. But I don't want that. So I could actually just get rid of it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to point that actually to just a specific folder. So let me go over here. What are we again? We're in test. We're in docs. Tutorial basics. Let's have it just point there instead. Tutorial basics. Okay. And then also, I'm going to, how do let's see, it's just a regular old Control C. Will that do it for me? Oh, good. Okay. I'm going to make a new one. We're going to start our own top menu. I'm going to call this pen test sidebar. And for its dir name, it's going to be a new folder called pen testing. Okay. And I'm going to just go into where docs is, make dir pen test. Shoot, what did I say? Pen testing. Let's call it pen testing. Okay. Okay. So I've created the sidebar. I'm going to save it. I'm going to go back to where we were editing the main config page, and I'm going to put, let's see, there's the sidebar called, okay, so I need to make, I need to take this, and I need to basically replicate it, blink. And probably there's like a better editor to do this in so that, I don't know, stuff doesn't get screwed up, but we'll find out if I screwed it up. But here's where I'm going to call my pen test sidebar, and the label is actually going to be called pen testing. Right, if I save this out and it actually appears, I think, oh, good Lord. Okay. So sidebar ID with pen test sidebar doesn't have anything to be linked to. This, I believe, means that I've created the I've created the pen testing subfolder, but I have not put any docs in it. So let's see if this fixes it. I'm going to go nano test.md pen testing. Learn all the scary things about pen testing here, LOL. And I think, oh, look like that. And we're back. So the tutorial name change menu that I changed is now just feeding a specific folder of content. And now I've got this new one, pen testing, where I can put all the scary things about pen testing. So the client's just been kind of either uploading through SFTP or just doing some copying and pasting into terminal their hierarchy of Markdown docs. And, you know, again, like we're seeing, that hierarchy just populates on the fly. You don't have to do once I've made this nav menu and said point at the pen testing folder, then everything I create underneath this will automatically be you know, grabbed and linked to. So again, you know, Wi-Fi stuff, and we come into Wi-Fi stuff and we go, you know, air crack NG or whatever that's called, you know, air crack NG is a lot of fun. Don't test without permission. Okay. Thanks. Bye. We save that out, and there we go. We get our automatic Wi-Fi subfolder and our first thing about aircrack NG. And then, like I said, what we're going to play with too, before we do too much importing, is all those things about, you know, slugs, you know, hacky, the Wi-Fi's, something like that will change. Whoops. Will change the slug, you know? So we want to just take some time, right, and make a structure and a slug build out that, you know, that makes sense. But that's pretty cool. That is kind of fitting their requirements, right? For Markdown based, let's just have one author. Let's quickly take existing stuff that we have written in just folders on somebody's Dropbox, place them in here, make it easily navigatable. Oh, last couple of things I want to tell you. One thing I want to show you, one thing I want to tell you. There is, I have not installed it yet, but there is a module for free that comes with Docusaurus that you can staple onto this, that will bring up a search bar and index all your content and have, you know, Google-like search. I just haven't gotten that far, but it looks like it's a couple of like npm commands or something, and off you go. But the last thing I wanted to show you is just how to make it maybe a little bit more pretty. And that can all be done in the SRC folder CSS. And also, sorry, I kind of lost you. I went away from tabs. Just want to make sure there's no questions. Nope, doesn't look like it. Either that or we're off the air. I don't know. And there's just one file in here, I think, custom CSS. So I'm going to be a good wannabe developer and gonna go ahead and make a copy of that sucker CSS. And now you can come in here and you can CSS to your heart's delight. So let's see if I remember this by heart. 7ms blue, I think, is 0099 DC or DC99. Let me see. Oh, killed it. Yep. See that? Oh, 7MS blue staring in the face. All we need is a 7MS logo here. We're flipping ready to do this. Yeah, there we go. Okay, let me look at my notes quick. See if there was anything else that I wanted to let you know about, but I think that is it. I did. I guess just on a kind of on a future bit of news, I'm using this on a different machine in the background to rewrite and reboot the bee patty documentation that I used to be really good about maintaining years ago, and now I'm not. So if you go to beepatty.rocks, this goes to an old kind of MD wiki that honestly I didn't really know how to use, and I had to update all the links manually myself. And most of this is outdated, and some of it I'll bring over, but I'm basically working on Bee Patty Reloaded, which will have all the notes that I use today for pen testing. I'm going to plop all that into Docusaurus and then get a pipeline thing to push that up to to this. It'll be a different GitHub repo, but beepatty.rocks will point to that. And so you'll definitely be hearing from me about Docusaurus again, because hopefully that'll be the solution I stick with, and that's what we'll host Bee Patty Reloaded. So keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, we banged through that pretty quick. I hope that was helpful. Are there questions, comments, concerns? Jack in the shop says, I got to get on the road. Guess I will have to watch on playback. Sounds good, Jack. Thank you for checking this out. Otherwise, in my talks about Docusaurus with some of you the last few days, several of you mentioned other things. In fact, our buddy Jeff mentioned that MK Docs might be nice as well. MK DOCS. If you've got anything else you use that you think is rad, please do dump it in the chat. Otherwise, I think I'll let us all get back to our day. And I really appreciate you checking out 7MS stuff. And we're at 7minsec.com. If you're looking to ask us anything about this or talk security or join our Slack channel, that's all here. If you go to Slack, you could pop in and say hi to people. There's some really nice, smart folks that I shamelessly leech off their knowledge. And I hope doing stuff like this is like a small way of giving my limited knowledge back. All right. Well, hey, I don't see any other comments or questions, but again, I appreciate you. Okay. Hope you have a great rest of your day and week. And we'll catch you next time. Of course, there's a weekly podcast, audio flavored, that you can get at 7minsec.com/podcast. And I think it's on most of the places that, podcasts are sold. This one's free, but some are paid. Okay. I think that's it. I'm going to roll the bumper. Take care now, and bye-bye then. You've been watching or listening to 7 Minute Security, a weekly podcast focused on pen testing, blue teaming, and building a career in security. For more episodes like this, visit 7ms.us. And for information about our consulting services, visit 7minsec.com.